Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the weekly media briefing and public health update with Montgomery County Executive Marc Elrich. I'm Lorna Virgili, Hispanic Public Information Officer, and joining us today is Dr. Earl Stoddard, Assistant Chief Administrative Officer, as well as Mr. Sean O'Donnell, Assistant Chief of Public Health Services, and also from the Department of Health and Human Services is Dr. Patrice McGee, who's the county's Chief of Aging and Disability Services. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Good afternoon, Mr. County Executive. Very good to see you.
Good to be here, and thanks for joining us again. I'll start by saying I think today's the first day in about a year that half our nation feels a little bit better than usual. Last night's election results were an outstanding rebuke of Donald Trump and Republicans across the board. As there will be a lot forthcoming, there's a lot for us to think about over the next year. We have next year's midterms coming up, as well as upcoming policy decisions. One thing that's clear to me is all politics and policy aside, last night's results are a repudiation of the cruelty of Donald Trump's administration and frustration with the psychopathic Republican Party. I got to say that, I think a lot of people who voted for Trump did not think that he was going to remove the workers from their businesses, the farmers or the farmhands from the fields, or other aspects of what he's doing that were not talked about before the election. And I think it surprised a lot of people, Democrats and Republicans alike. And for a lot of Republicans, small and medium-sized businesses that rely on immigrant labor, this has been a pretty strong blow to them as well. And while the meatpacking industry is hardly small businesses, it is a key part of the American economy. And losing the workforce in the meatpacking industry is going to have serious consequences. So what's been brought to us is not what was advertised pre-election, and I think some people are getting a little bit nervous, as many of us already are. And here's an example of cruelty. I'm talking right now from a Seneca Heights apartment in Gaithersburg today, where we just hosted a press conference with the Montgomery County Coalition for the Homeless about the jeopardy this facility is in due to potential HUD cuts. This facility that I'm speaking to you from is a former Econo Lodge hotel, and Montgomery County Coalition for the Homeless, with the county's support, purchased this hotel 20 years ago. And since then, it has housed families, older adults, and those with disabilities who are receiving housing as well as support services. Under the proposed HUD cuts in Trump's big ugly bill, funding for operating this facility is going to be decimated. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development is considering up to a 70% cut to the continuum of care funding for permanent supportive housing and rapid rehousing programs. Let me explain what these programs do. The programs combine affordable housing with supportive services like case management. They're evidence-based, they are cost-effective, and they save lives. Close to 1,300 of our residents are experiencing homelessness. We work hard to help them make a temporary situation by investing in permanent housing solutions. If these cuts go through across the county, over 500 households, about 750 people could lose their homes. It is beyond ironic that the Trump administration believes its plan will help us address homelessness. Their cry to clean up encampments and reduce visible homelessness falls meaningless when proven solutions like this one are being abandoned. What's especially disturbing was that during his initial attack on homelessness, it was accompanied by statements that homeless people needed to be off the streets and in places where they could receive services, seemingly sensible. But, to no surprise at all, then it was accompanied by the promise of cutting off federal money. So simultaneously, they're saying that he wants people off the streets while cutting the programs to make it possible to actually do that. Meanwhile, this is a direct threat to the lives and stability of hundreds of our most vulnerable residents who would lose the support of our government and community partners that they're able to provide because of permanent housing money. These federal plans would dismantle much of the fantastic work that's been done over 20 years, at least going back 20 years. Montgomery County's always stepped up, and we're not going to stop doing that. We're going to continue to invest more. We invest more right now than most local governments in housing and homelessness prevention. But we really can't do this alone. You know, for years, the federal government is the partners, as it often has been. These are not locally generated problems necessarily or local problems necessarily. Homelessness is, you know, a deep and can be a persistent problem, and we just need programs to help address it. We have them, and we've been able to do things that work. So it's important that we're allowed to continue to do that work. I wrote our congressional delegate weeks ago outlining the devastating impact these cuts would have, and I want to thank Senator Alsobrooks' office for helping elevate this issue on Capitol Hill. But we need more voices coming from our communities. We need everyone to speak for the real families and real futures that will be in jeopardy if we turn our back on those most in need of shelter and support. This is my first media briefing in 3 weeks, and I want to thank Rich Madaleno for filling in for me. We were on an economic mission in China and Japan. This is my 6th international economic mission, and I've been to 6 different countries. This trip was scheduled when I was invited to be a keynote speaker at the 7th annual U.S.-China Sister Cities Conference in Hangzhou. The conference was pretty amazing. There were hundreds of Americans from across the country, mainly from what people call the heartland, who were at this conference. Many of them come from jurisdictions or areas of the country where they have strong trade ties with China, particularly in agriculture, but not exclusively agriculture. And to make the most of this opportunity, I rearranged meetings with dozens of business prospects, not only in Hangzhou, but also in Shanghai and Shenzhen, China, before we traveled to Japan to introduce our country to the innovation clusters there. Japan was interesting because we realized how little they actually knew about our county, and it gave us an opportunity to link their interest with expanding Japanese biomedical work in the U.S. with Montgomery County, because Montgomery County makes sense as a logical landing space for them. As a result, we started to plan a trip where the county would be able to present to a larger audience and showcase our assets, what is in Montgomery County, what our research capabilities are, and the companies that are here, as well as the support services that Montgomery County has because of the proximity to FDA. Strengthening our county's global ties is important work if we want it to be considered a destination for companies looking to grow and expand in the China markets or in the U.S. markets. And one of the really interesting things was when we were talking to the Japanese, because President Trump had been there the day before, they told us openly that the Japanese government had ordered that Japanese companies begin making greater investments in the United States, and that we were arriving in a very fortuitous moment. I confess we did not plan that, but it is actually good that we were there talking to them at a moment when they were realizing they're going to need to be investing more, and we had an opportunity to make the case for why we would be a really good investment, particularly in certain sectors of the Japanese economy. And we're going to continue to be a gateway to FDA, and there are real advantages. I was joined on the trip by Councilmember Will Jawando and Judy Costello, the county's lead on special projects tied to economic development. And it's been normal for council members to go with us. Evan Glass has gone with us. Andrew Friedman's gone with us. Let's see, Natty Fonnelly Gonzalez has gone with us, and Kate Stewart went with us. So, you know, we've been accompanied normally when we go abroad. We met with it and discussed business expansion opportunities with the county, with a lot of industries and with innovation hub leaders in both China and Japan. We also met with leaders of organizations with a presence in our country and overseas, including Japan's Noble Pharma, and in China with AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca's research headquarters are here, but they have a large presence in China as well. We also met with CBA, ISP, and with the DMV Shenzhen Chamber of Commerce. In China, we signed MOUs with 2 organizations who committed to establishing a U.S. presence in Montgomery County, a biotech consumables manufacturer and mold manufacturer association. Mold manufacturers are people who make molds that wind up being inserted, for example, in a door panel of your car. If you have some plastic material that's different than the rest of your door panel, it was probably made in a mold and probably made in China. They are particularly interested in coming here because their supply line from China to the U.S. is long, and it's hard for them to provide service. And as the world grows more competitive, being here would be an advantage to support their customers here. So this is one of the reasons they're interested in looking at us. Since this is our first trip to Japan, we focused on promoting the county's strengths in biotech, clean tech, AI, and space communications. And similar to events we hosted in the 3 cities in China, we invited business prospects to meet with us in Tokyo. We also visited major innovation hubs in Osaka, Kanagawa, and Kyoto, and met with influential business organizations that represent thousands of Japanese companies. Each of these meetings generated new awareness about our county and its talent and innovation resources. And like I said, we arrived at a good time. We've done a good job developing relations and building an environment that's safe and welcoming to people from all nations and cultures. And it's actually true that when we talk about Montgomery County, people overseas actually appreciate what we have consciously done. That is not an understatement. That's not something that happens everywhere in the world. Being able to talk about who we are is actually appreciated by some people. Maybe not by anybody in the White House, but by people everyplace else in the world. You may have seen last week our press release on our getting the AAA bond rating, small 3 credit rating agencies again. The county government received the AAA bond rating from all 3 credit agencies. In the case of Moody's, it's the 53rd consecutive year. S&P's given us a AAA rating for the last 40 years and Fitch for the last 35. These are impressive streaks that we take immense pride in. Out of more than 3,000 counties in the United States, only about 50 earn a AAA rating every year. What is significant is that Montgomery County is among the best in the nation for fiscal responsibility. The county's long-term strategic approach to fiscal management, combined with maintaining healthy reserves, has enabled our county to weather fiscal challenges and make strategic investments to promote economic development and future growth. This is the foundation that enables us to sell bonds at favorable rates and move forward with significant investments that enhance our schools, community, and our lives. The S&P rating agency said the following, and I'm going to quote, "Montgomery County's credit profile remains stable despite regional economic uncertainty and expected reserve drawdowns over the next few years. Ongoing local economic growth, diversification, support high incomes relative to national averages. Robust financial planning that compares favorably with regional and national peers, along with a predictable revenue profile, result in financial results that largely outperform the budget." So that's S&P talking about the Montgomery County government. Essentially, earning a AAA rating is like having a perfect credit score as a consumer. You get to borrow more at a lower interest rate. Having these high ratings saves taxpayer monies with lower debt service payments than lower credit rated jurisdictions are able to get. And while we've maintained these ratings for decades, we should not take them for granted. That's why we've been so focused as we do our budgets and making sure that we not only achieve our 10% goal, which was not achieved prior to my being county executive, but that we actually stay above that 10% as the year goes forward. And we've been able to generally do that. And it has given us a lot of flexibility. So it's something that the rating agencies notice, and it's important for us that they do notice that. Credit rating agencies have been downgrading many states and local jurisdictions recently, including Maryland and some neighboring jurisdictions. Earning triple A's, again, is no sure thing. So I want to thank and appreciate our finance department and the Office of Management and Budget for their work year in and year out to help our county earn this rare score. Back to more bad news, or I guess moderately good news, depending on your perspective. I'm grateful for Monday's decision by the courts and Maryland Governor Wes Moore to help families that remain in limbo who risk losing their SNAP assistance. The federal money they receive is crucial for thousands of families in Montgomery County and beyond who rely on SNAP to put enough food on their tables each month. I saw that on display yesterday when I joined Representative Jamie Raskin and Representative voices in the background here, McLean Delaney, at Manna Food. We heard from Manna Executive Director Craig Rice and residents who are receiving food donations for the first time, as well as those who have jobs but are in limbo due to what is now the largest government shutdown in U.S. history. The federal court's action on SNAP benefits seemed to force the Trump administration to use $5 billion in USDA contingency funds to cover roughly half of November's SNAP benefits nationwide. But he's once again playing games with that money. The funding, once released, will mitigate the significant negative impacts on our local economy and support critical revenue for our food retailers and farm markets. This should never have taken a lawsuit in order to force the federal government to pay SNAP benefits, because threatening to cut off food benefits to families, seniors, and children is cruel. Let's put this in real clear perspective. The president, in order to force the Democrats to cave so he can massively increase the cost of healthcare in this country, is willing to make people go hungry to achieve his political objective. And that political objective is to give billionaires massive tax cuts. So here's the direct line: massive tax cuts to billionaires funded by jacking your insurance premiums through the ceiling and by cutting off food from people who need it. It's hard to be more cruel than that. It's hard to believe this is happening in America, but it is. And as somebody who's been around a while and has seen, Republicans over many years, I grew up with Republicans in the 50s and 60s and 70s, nobody would have stooped to causing this much harm and damage to human beings to achieve massive tax cuts for wealthy people. It is astounding that we've arrived at this place right now, but here we are. Because of the Trump administration's delay, this is not going to occur on its usual schedule. Under normal circumstances, Maryland's November benefits begin going out alphabetically on November 4th. The Maryland Department of Human Services now expects that households should have received benefits this week. They'll receive them next week instead. I appreciate Governor Wes Moore for stepping up once again to prevent harm to the people we serve. The money the state is committing to will cover the remaining half of November's SNAP benefits. This crisis has been very disruptive for families who are already stretched thin. County and state leaders, along with our congressional delegation, will continue pushing for timely, reliable, and distribution of benefits every month. If Montgomery County residents need food while they wait for the benefits to be issued or for any other reason, help is available. Our nonprofit partners are continuing regular food distributions and stand ready to support households in need. Information on food distributions sites can be found at www.montgomerycountymd.gov/foodhelp. I also want to put a little reminder out there that Manna talked to us about while we were visiting. I think a lot of us are aware there are individuals in our community who are very generously buying food so they can donate it to people who need it. The folks at Manna made the point, and I think it's a good point, that it would be more effective to take the dollars that you're willing to spend at a grocery store to buy food and contribute that money to Manna or the other nonprofits that are getting food in bulk and at lower prices. Your dollars would actually go further and enable us to help more people if your money goes to one of these providers. But we appreciate whatever you're doing and however you're doing it. It's important. It's a great show of support for the people who need this food. And thank you if you're donating already. Thank you if you're thinking about donating. Your contributions will make a difference during this time when we have more people to take care of than we normally do. In Montgomery County, we're committed to making sure people can live well at every stage of life. And 10 years ago, we launched the Age-Friendly Montgomery Initiative, which enhances the county's and ensures that we remain focused on allowing all residents to thrive to their full potential. Data cited by AARP says that by 2030, more than 1/4 of Montgomery County residents will be 60 and older. And it's why we aligned with the World Health Organization and AARP to join the Age-Friendly Communities Network. In doing so, we committed to working across government and across sectors in a collaborative planning process. Meanwhile, based on community needs assessments conducted in 2015, the county and its partners created a modified and wide variety of public spaces, programs, and services. There are many examples of changes within our community that resulted from that work, and here are just a few of the examples. We initiated and expanded new and refurbished affordable housing and introduced a new home sharing program. We supported the Large and Growing Villages movement, a volunteer-led neighbor helping neighbor concept that helps older residents age in place and keep generations of families together in the community. We expanded low and no-cost transportation options, including adding wheelchair access vehicles to help older people and people with disabilities participate fully in family, social, and community life. We expanded safety education through outreach and in-home visits by police, fire, and rescue, and our EMS staff. We've increased volunteer participation. We're combating social isolation by expanding programming at our senior centers and supporting organizations serving culturally diverse communities. We've been promoting employment for older workers in partnership with WorkSource Montgomery and the Jewish Council for Aging's virtual 50-plus employment expos and job training programs. We've been updating area parks to include safety and accessibility features for people of all ages, and we're distributing over 19,000 Chromebooks and to residents living in senior housing and providing support and training through Senior Planet Montgomery. We've been implementing changes in street design to increase safety and comfort for pedestrians, and we've opened the Silver Spring Recreation and Aquatic Center, which includes the county's 8th full-service senior center and is co-located with an affordable senior housing and health center. I want to thank all of the government leaders, businesses, and community partners that have helped us on this mission, and we ask for their continual help. Aging should be viewed as something we prepare for together by creating communities that are safe, welcoming, and supportive for everyone. Keeping the focus on older adults through this initiative helps make Montgomery County a stronger and more inclusive community. And at this point, I'd like to welcome the county's Chief of Aging and Disability Services with HHS to our discussion. She's one of several county leaders serving on the Age-Friendly Montgomery County Advisory Group. Welcome, Patrice.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. County Executive. I first want to start off by thanking you for your steadfast commitment to our age-friendly initiative. I also want to recognize Dr. James Bridgers, our leader here in HHS, who serves as a co-chair alongside of Adrian Clutter, who is the acting director of the Department of Recreation. They have taken up the reins and are serving as co-chairs of the vast age-friendly network. So our older adult population is growing at the fastest rate of any other population here in Montgomery County. Our residents age 60 and older now make up about 22% of Montgomery County's population. And the number of residents 60 plus is projected to grow by 28% in comparison to the under 60 population, which will grow by about 7.6% by the year 2045. So Mr. County Executive spoke about the age-friendly initiative. So why is that important? It is intentionality. It is a global movement of over 1,000 age-friendly communities that was launched by the World Health Organization and AARP to make cities, counties, and communities a place for people of all ages and stages, especially older adults, to fully participate in their community. And for the last decade, Montgomery County has boldly committed to supporting residents at every stage. We've remained focused on making our community a place where everyone can age well together. The overarching goal of Age Friendly is to support older adults in their independence, interdependence, safety, health, and engagement. We achieve this goal through a multi-sector approach. We convene a network that spans 10 domains where we actively listen, we engage, we plan, and we seek solutions to enhance our community and support of our residents. The 10 domains that make up our age-friendly network here in Montgomery County are civic and social involvement, communication and outreach, elder abuse awareness, employment, health and wellness, home and community-based services, housing, planning, open spaces, parks and community buildings, public safety, transportation, and mobility. And so you heard County Executive mention some of the wonderful accomplishments of our age-friendly network over the last 10 years. I also want to highlight that our age-friendly efforts align with the state's Longevity Ready Maryland Plan, which was approved by Governor Moore and the Maryland Department of Aging Secretary Carmel Roque this past July 30th of this year. So the Longevity Ready Maryland Plan is a 10-year plan designed to improve systems of care by modernizing state programs, expanding services, and streamlining access to benefits. Age-friendly Montgomery and Longevity Ready Maryland break down silos and bring different sectors together to improve the efficiency of how we support our older adults. And so it's important to understand the needs of our residents. So we are actively engaging currently in an age-friendly community assessment. We had a community assessment 10 years ago when we jumped into this initiative, so it is well overdue for another one. So we are undertaking a survey process, which will also be conducting some listening sessions. So we're asking all of residents here in Montgomery County to amplify and raise their voices and devote some time to thoughtfully completing the age-friendly survey, which is available on the senior site at www.montgomerycountymd.gov/senior. So your point of view will help guide how we move our age-friendly network forward. In addition, we're encouraging our residents to participate in listening sessions that are upcoming, and those will be offered both virtually and in person. And those listening session dates will also be posted on that senior site. So call to action. We need everyone to get involved. If you have not had a seat at the table, if you have not attended an age-friendly network meeting, if you're not participating in one of the 10 domains, we are asking that all individuals, residents, local businesses that support aging, the Aging Network, any entity that has not yet participated in our age-friendly network, we need to keep the age-friendly momentum going. And we want to grow our effort. We want to invite our hospital partners and other nonprofit partners to join in the initiative. So we're encouraging you to reach out if you have any questions about how to get involved with the Age-Friendly Network to our Aging and Disability Resource Unit at 240-777-3000, or you can call the number that everyone knows, 311, and ask about the Age-Friendly Network, and they will get you connected to our Aging and Disability Resource Unit, where we can get you connected and give you the dates for any network meetings. We do meet virtually and in person. And so there's opportunity for everyone to get engaged. So I'll stop right there and turn it back over to Mr. County Executive.
Thank you, Dr. McGee. We are going to hear from Dr. Statter and or Mr. O'Donnell if you have any comments this afternoon, and then we'll open it up for questions for Dr. McGee and general questions.
I've got nothing additional unless we'll turn it over to Sean.
Nothing additional now. Just we're monitoring. We're trying to see RSV go around, and just remind everyone to get their vaccinations this fall.
All righty then. Then we open it up for questions for members of the media. Go ahead. Raise your hands, please. I see Mariam Shahzad from Montgomery Community Media. Good afternoon, Mariam. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Mr. County Executive, just wanted to ask on the trip to China and Japan. Do you know like a number for the cost of the trip and where the money came from?
We'll give you a briefing. We're going to do a separate briefing on that. And Judy just got back, so she's putting all the information together, and we'll give a briefing on everything.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. Jenny Abamu from WAMU. Good afternoon, Jenny.
Hi, I was just following up. I just wanted to ask about on the similar to the trip. Did you get any commitments from any of the firms? In particular, I was interested in kind of like the biotech sector. I've done a few stories on that, if you know, and
Yeah.
so I was kind of curious to see if there had been any commitments. I know there's been a lot of talk about investment numbers going down, NIH grants being held because and it's stalled because of the government shutdown, and so I'm just curious if anything has happened. Any commitments that you got out of that?
I'll wait for Judy to come back. She can talk about everybody we talked to and what's penciled out. But for example, we did meet with a company. It wasn't biotech, but it was a Mold Makers Association, a group of people who manufacture molds that are frequently part of many things that are built in America. And their interest is they've signed an MOU to look at exploring expanding production. So one of the first things they're going to talk to us about is setting up a service facility and, a parts center in the United States, which they don't have right now. So that was one of the things that leapt off because I'm just looking at the MOU earlier today. But we can talk more about that when we have the briefing.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Mr. County Executive. Members of the media, any more questions this afternoon for the County Executive and county officials? No more questions? Well, thank you for joining us. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.